Hi Math 1. This video is going to review all the topics so far from 2.1 to 2.5. So let's take a look at this first example. They are asking us to find the slope from a graph. So what we're going to want to do is take a look at the rise over the run. So you have to find two nice points that are on the corners of the boxes. And in this case, it's going to go down. Since the scale is by ones, this is 1, 2, 3. So the delta y is -3. Now the delta x here goes to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So delta x is +4. So the slope, which is delta y over delta x, is -3 divided by 4. Now you have to make sure that this is in reduced form. Your calculator will help you with that. If you can simplify that at all, you should. Okay. Is this line increasing or decreasing? Well, it's decreasing, okay, and I can say a number of reasons here, but I'm looking at this line and it's going downhill. So I'm going to say that the line is going downhill, and that's why it's decreasing. Now we can also take these points, okay? Sometimes it's given to you in point form. For example, -3, 2 is this first point. This point right here is 1, -1. So another strategy or another technique would be to take these and use that formula, which is y minus y divided by x minus x. So I'm going to take this y, -1, and I'm going to subtract this first y, which is -2. Now I'm going to take this x, which is 1, the second x, and I'm going to subtract -3. A minus minus makes plus, okay? So the change in y over the change in x is -3 over 4, which is the same answer that we got there. Okay, now some people don't like using that formula, but they like to use a table. So if you're ever given 2 points, okay, you can put them into a table. So make sure you take that first point, put -3 into the x place, and put 2 into the y place. Take your second point right here, okay, and put it into the table as 1, -1. Once you put 2 points into a table, you can find the slope very easily by doing delta y over delta x. So how is this changing? 2 goes down, 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 and it goes down 3. -3 is going up to positive. That's going to be up 4. Okay, so the delta y over the delta x is -3 over 4. And you can see how no matter how you did the slope, we got the same answer. You can do rise over run on a graph, you can use the formula, or you can put things into a table. Okay, I'm going to star this one. This is most students' favorite technique, putting stuff into a table. This line would be decreasing. Okay, looking at this work, I'm going to say that the reason is that the slope is negative. Okay, there's no graph here, so I don't want to say the graph is going downhill. I don't see a graph, but I know that the graph would be going downhill since the slope is negative. Okay, please try the problems. Hi, Math 1. Let's review how to write equations. Okay, so I have these key features right here. There's 2 key features that you're always going to be given, a point and a slope. Okay, for this point, we have an x value and a y value. And then, of course, we have the slope. To write the equation, we always start with f of x equals. The first thing I'm going to write is this y value right here. The y value is 5. Then comes the slope. Since that's positive, I'm going to write plus 2/3. Okay. Now we have parentheses, and it's time to write x minus this x number. When we put a -6 right here, minus minus becomes a positive. Some people put that +5 at the end, and it does not matter. All right, let's write another equation. Since we were given 2 points, I'm going to put them into our table right here. This first point, which is 6, -3, is going to go into the x spot and the corresponding y spot. This second point, which is -8, comma 4, goes together. Okay, make sure you put one x with one y for that point. Now we have to write the slope. So let's take a look at the delta x and the delta y. How are the y's changing? Negative up to positive, that's adding how much? Adding 7. Over here we have 6, and it's going down, down, down into the negatives. What's the delta x for this table? That's going to be -14. So the slope, which is delta y over delta x, okay, which number goes into the numerator? That's going to be 7. And the delta x is -14. Can that fraction be reduced? Yes, it can. Please reduce this fraction for me. That gives us -1/2. Okay, to write an equation, there's 3 things we need to know. An x, a y, and a slope. Now you can pick either of these points. That's your choice. I'm going to pick this top point. Most people use the top one. And the equation starts off with f of x equals. Okay, remember, an equation needs that equal sign. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our y value. The starting output is -3. The second thing is the slope. Negative, so I'll write -1/2. And now we have x. X minus, let's go grab that corresponding x number, and I'm going to say x minus 6. In order to write an equation, there's 3 things you need to know, okay? You need to know an x value. You need to know a y value. And you need to know the slope. If you're given those 3 things, you can make the equation. Please try writing some equations. Okay, Math 1, let's review how to write equations when we have slope-intercept. So I notice that this graph is touching the y-intercept right there, and that point is 0, 6. Okay, I always try to find a point that has a 0. The second thing I'm going to need to know, okay, so the key features, point, and of course a slope. So let's use rise over run on this graph to find the slope. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the delta y is -9. What's the delta x? Delta x, it's +1. So the slope is going to be -9 over +1. I think we're ready to write the equation. We have a starting x, starting y, and a slope. Here we go. F of x equals. I'm going to start with the starting y value, which is 6. Then we have a slope, -9. And then you could put the x in parentheses, or you could just write x. That would be the same as saying x minus 0. But you don't have to have the 0, which means you don't have to have the parentheses. The second one right here is telling us the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where a line touches the y-axis. So that is the point 0, -8. And they're telling us the slope. So in terms of writing the equation, we're ready to go. F of x equals starting output. The starting y value is -8. The slope is positive, so plus 1/6. Now it's time for x. Since x is 0, we could just put x. Other people like to do y equals mx plus b. They like to write the slope, the x, and then the y-intercept. Either one is totally acceptable. Please try writing some equations in slope-intercept form. Okay, Math 1, let's take a look at how to graph. Okay. In order to graph, you're going to need some key features. Okay. The key features are always a point and a slope. So let's look at this equation. Okay, to find the x is always by x. But don't forget, the x number needs to get the switcheroo. So our x value is -2. Our y value is always the one that's alone. Okay, in this case, it's in the front, and it's the +4. Okay, it's always the one alone. And then the slope is always in front of x. But let's be careful. The slope here is -1/3. Make sure you got that negative. Okay, we have all our key features, our x, our y, which makes a starting point, and the slope will help us make other points. So let's go to -2, 4. There's a point on the graph. And now we need to make more. -1 means we go down, and the 3 means we go to the right, since it's positive. That minus sign only belongs to one of the numbers, not both. So let's go down 1, and to the right, 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. Down 1, over 1, 2, 3. I don't think I can fit any more. Can I go the other way? Let's try. Instead of going down, I'm going to go up and left. 1, 2, 3. Well, look at that. Okay. In order to graph this nice straight line, we're going to connect the points. Okay. Try to use a ruler if you have one. And don't forget to add the arrows, since the graph goes forever. Okay, this second equation here, this is in point-slope form, but we still need to find these same two key features. I need a starting point, and I need a slope. The slope is the number that's in front of x, so the slope is the 4. This -1 number is alone. That's the y value. That's the y value, -1. I don't see any parentheses. There is no x value, and that's a 0. Some people call this the y-intercept. So graphing is actually very fast if you have slope-intercept. We're going to start on the y-axis at -1. Okay, using that b value. Some people say y equals mx plus b. B stands for y-intercept. And now we're going to make more points. I'm going to put this number 4 over 1 so that I have a rise and a run. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 4 over 1. I don't think I could fit any more, but maybe I could go down. Let's see. Down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Perfect. Let's go ahead and graph this line. And let's not forget to put the arrows. Please try graphing some lines. Okay, Math 1, let's review how to interpret. Okay, interpret means we're going to write a sentence. Okay, and we're also going to evaluate. Evaluate means find the value. Find the value. So let's take a look at this first example here. This graph is talking about days. Oops. I'm sorry, you can see that this graph here has seconds on the x-axis and the weight of the rice in the container in grams. So in order to interpret the slope, I need to find the slope. So let's take a look at some nice points. That is not a good one, not a good one. Oh, that's a good one. So from point to point, we go up 10, 20, 30. So we have up 30, and then we go to the right 2. 30 over 2. And that, of course, can be reduced into what? That can be reduced into 15 over 1. Now we have to interpret the slope. So our delta y, which was 30, I'm just going to write the numbers here. The delta y is grams. The 30 was grams, and now the 15 is grams. Our delta x was 2, and that was seconds. So seconds goes on the x number. So in terms of interpreting this sentence, I'm going to start by talking about the 15 grams. There's 15 more grams, and I knew more because it's going up, it's positive. Okay, and now the delta x number got reduced to 1 every 1 second. 15 more grams every 1 second. 15 more grams every 1 second. To interpret the y-intercept, we're going to take a look at right here where the line crosses the y-axis. And that's 10. 0 takes us to 10. 0, 10. Let's interpret this y-intercept. 0 stands for seconds. At 0 seconds, or in the beginning, or you could say 0 seconds, there was 10 grams of rice. There was 10 grams of rice. Okay, let's take a look at evaluating. We have the number of meals served each hour. Okay, and it's represented by this table and by the equation. If I take a look at the delta y, we have plus 6, and the delta x is plus 2. So my slope would be 6 divided by 2, which reduces to 3. Oh, that's where they got 3. Okay, so there's the slope. They made this equation from the table. They used a starting output, the y value of 9, and then they used this x value, x minus 1. So that equation makes sense. That equation represents how many meals are served at any given hour. They want us to find the value. How many meals at hour 24? So we're going to put 24 into the equation. 24 is the x. I'm going to put that 24 number right there. 9 plus 3 times 24 minus 1. So m of 24 is 9 plus 3. Let's do inside parentheses first. That's 23. Okay, we should do multiply first. So let's do 3 times 23. And we have to add 9. And so that makes 78 meals. Let's interpret this point. Let's talk about the 24 and let's talk about the 78. Okay, 24 was the X, that was the hours. So I'm going to say at hour 24, 78 is the meals. They served 78 meals. Okay, please practice interpreting and evaluating now.